Take it away, Easy. Now moving on to Logan Paul versus The Miz. Dealing with celebrities, we brought in somebody who has dealt with celebrities over and over again, and it'd be good to get his opinion on it. That is Hall of Famer, Mr. Eric Bischoff.
I'm back. Oh, wait. I won't do that to anybody. I will not sing. I will not inflict that torture on souls known or unknown.
Depends how good you are at it, though. So we'll have to find out. So we're talking about dealing with the celebrity factor coming into the wrestling world, and you dealt with quite a few of them. Billy was going over some things earlier. You want to take it, Billy, about what you were talking about with how rough it might be to deal with celebrities or how easy it might be?
Yeah, I mean, I have one main question. Now, I don't want to turn this into, I don't want to set you up for the quote of the week, any AEW bashing or anything like that, because I know that's very clickbaity. But I just want you to explain to me the difference, what you get when you invest. So AEW spending, say, $5 million on a CM Punk and $3 million on a Daniel Bryan, and they're getting a full-time performer. What do you get when you invest a $3 million into a Logan Paul instead? What's the mindset in that, and what you're getting from that investment instead?
Well, I think with Logan Paul, is that the number? Has that been confirmed, or is that speculation, or is it $3 million for Logan Paul?
That's just what I've heard. Yeah, it's very part-time for $3 million. Yeah.
Okay. But this is important, because is the $3 million for one event, or is it $3 million over the course of several events?
No, he's been getting around $1 million to come in and do one shots, but this is now the contract that he has per year. So it's $3 million per year. We don't know at this point how much he's going to do. I imagine SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, 100%. So
all right, so he's going to be making multiple appearances for $3 million, correct, over the course of a year. Is that the scope?
That's
so.
Right,
Here's what you get for $3 million,
and that's
I don't know how many.
That's not from Meltzer, so that's from someone more reliable than him.
All right, whatever it is, as long as we acknowledge that we don't know what the number is, and it's speculation at this point.
Okay.
So if it's $3 million. Here's what you get. You get a known social media influencer with a tremendous amount of influence, with I don't know how big his following is. Maybe you guys do, or somebody can Google it, or the listeners can.
He has the #1 podcast in the world.
Logan Paul has the #1 podcast in the world?
That's right. At this moment, it's forever changing, but as we're recording, he has the #1 podcast in the world.
So he's more popular than Joe Rogan?
At the moment, yeah. Like for the week, this week's chart, yeah.
All right, so let's just assume that's true. I think that's some spooky shit you got going on right there, brother. I would not put any confidence in that whatsoever. But let's just say it's true, perhaps. He's got a very highly rated, if not the #1 podcast in the world. Sorry, Joe. I'm not buying it either, brother.
This week he has. Yeah. So
all right, let it go. Let it go, Bill. Let it go. Just let it go. We're moving on. Can't stop talking. You're worse than me. I didn't think it was possible. Anyway, you're getting a highly rated podcast. We've established that. You're getting a guy that has a tremendous amount of social media influence outside of his podcast. Don't know his following. I imagine it's massive. I'll be looking it up when we're done. And you're getting a very charismatic guy. He's a great performer. We've seen him, right? It's not like we don't know what we're going to get with this dude. He's committed. And I think he's a great personality. He's a great wrestling character. Are you going to get 5-star matches? I don't even know what that means anymore. I've seen some ridiculous on television that's been getting some really rave reviews lately, but it doesn't matter, man. It's all entertainment. And he's bringing a loyal following, a big loyal following, into a universe that is probably new, meaning he's bringing some new viewers along with him, and he's entertaining to the existing viewers. So I think it's a great investment. And that's overall the way I've always looked at celebrities is, what does it do for you? What did Dennis Rodman do for WCW? Dennis Rodman got us more buzz on morning drive, rock talk, sports around the country in every major market and most little markets that we couldn't have afforded to buy. But that's all anybody talked about. It's Dennis Rodman and WCW and Hulk Hogan. Couldn't have bought that. And he was entertaining. He delivered. He was a personality. He was a character. And he performed well enough, more than well enough, to not do any damage. You know, Kevin Green, Carolina Panthers, same thing. Steve McMichael brought Steve McMichael, thoughts, prayers, and just nothing but respect for the toughest that ever walked the face of the earth, in my opinion. What he's going through, and he's doing it with a smile every day. Hats off, brother. Much respect. But Steve McMichael, same way. You could criticize some of his work at the rink, and some of it was a little sketchy because he was put in situations he shouldn't have been. But he also had some fantastic matches. But beyond that, he brought credibility. He was a Super Bowl champion, Chicago Bears, and he had a great character. Karl Malone, same thing. You know, it just you get a lot, and what you really get is crossover, new audience that maybe not wouldn't otherwise check you out, and you get a tremendous amount of free press.
I got one, Billy, here for you. Did you get a lot of backlash from any of the wrestlers? Like, was there a lot of it, or just a smattering of, hey, I'm here all the time. What is this? He's getting paid this.
I never got any of that. I never got any of that. Okay. I read that it was happening, but it wasn't.
They would never bring
that's a perception that it might be happening, but it wasn't, because the talent knew. You know, wrestlers are smart suckers, man. They know what it takes to get attention. They know what it takes to get buzz and to get people talking about you. They might not have liked it necessarily, but they were glad to be on the card with him. They were happy to mug for a photo shot with him, and hopefully will end up in the paper. No, they got it. Nobody really complained. Everybody was, at least that I could see, was very supportive.
From the way you're speaking, there doesn't seem to be too much of a gamble element to it. I expect it to be.
Oh, there can be. David Arquette.
Is there a
There's the other side of the coin.
Well, but before we talk about the in-ring, the promos, and the creative side of things, where I would think more could go wrong, when you look at the investment side of things, is there a minimum bar that you set? For example, we want X number of viewers from this. We want X amount of publicity from this. Is there ever a minimum that you set with any signing?
No, man, you got to look with Dennis Rodman, Karl Malone. And again, remember, NBA finals were going on at the time, and there was a lot of buzz and chatter anyway. There's no way to quantify the dollar value. There's no way to put a valuation on the amount of advertising that you're going to get, because you're guessing. You're going by instinct. And now if you're hoping that you're going to get a ton of press from a mid-level professional athlete that isn't really normally in the paper and isn't very controversial and isn't very well known, but he's on the roster, it's legitimately a NFL player, NBA player, but nobody really knows him. If you're betting big money on that, you've got a bad instinct. But with the Malones and the Rodmans and the Kevin Greens and Reggie White and known commodities like we've used, there was no way to try to quantify it. You just went with your gut.
Is Jay Leno probably the best investment that you did for this, because of the platform that he had, being able to be on every night, and you could possibly, hey, maybe we could do something tonight on the Tonight Show that pushes this, and it's big time advertisement on a larger scale.
See, and that's the other thing that I'm glad you brought that up. Jay Leno was a whole different strategy. Look, Jay Leno, I knew the wrestling audience was going to gag on their toenails on that one. I just knew people would be turning themselves inside out with Jay Leno, wrestling fans. But here's what I also knew. I knew every advertiser in the industry on Park Avenue, the people that really matter when it comes to the television business, because without them, there would be no audience. They would look at it way differently than a wrestling fan would, right? And you have to cater to both. You have to serve 2 or 3 different masters if you want to actually grow your business and build a business, and not a, super indie trust fund wrestling show. if you want to build, you have to build it out in different ways. And being able to creatively use the Tonight Show the way we did to shoot an angle that led to a match over the course of weeks, and that access to the Tonight Show, advertisers look at that a lot different than wrestling fans do. Trust me, and dirt sheet writers. It was a very valuable strategy, but no way to quantify it. I was betting on the future. I was betting on sitting in a meeting, making a presentation to, let's say, GTX Motor Oil, for example, and being able to show them clips of WCW as a mainstream entertainment property. And I don't know, having your Hulk Hogan and myself and taking over the Tonight Show and showing advertisers that didn't really know anything about wrestling, that no, this is a lot more than just wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is mainstream entertainment here. And here's an example that has a lot of value from a sales position.
So, in terms of when you say you couldn't quantify it, do you think that modern day metrics would assist you, or do you not buy into those? So when you're looking at social media retweets, YouTube views, if you're a promoter right now, say there's Vince, there's Tony Khan, and Eric Bischoff has a third company, and you bring in a Logan Paul or you bring in somebody in this day and age, and you have a YouTube video that has 7 million views and 1 million retweets. Is that something that you would be celebrating? Is that a metric where you can weigh it up, or do you not really believe in these modern day metrics that these promoters are celebrating?
Oh no, it's not that I wouldn't believe in it. I would recognize it. I would be grateful for it. 7 million views, assuming I'm monetizing my YouTube channel, cha-ching, 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 just add it to the pot, right? It's reaching an audience. Some of those 7 million YouTube views may not be people that generally watch my show every week. That's added value. There's value in that. How to put a valuation on it? If I'm bringing in somebody for $1 million for one appearance, do I say, well, that YouTube exposure is worth, I don't know, $100,000, 50, 10, 2, 1, I don't know. I'm sure there's a formula to figure that out, because again, you could monetize part of that, right? So you can assign a percentage of that $3 million you'd recoup from that YouTube monetization. And then you have to kind of, guesstimate, what percentage of those 7 million people are going to perhaps buy your pay-per-view that might not have otherwise bought it. And you got to add that to the pot. But what you're really doing too is you're branding. And in that particular case, just like I did with Jay Leno, if I'm WWE or if I'm, AEW, I'm going to say, hey, Mr. Advertiser, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Building Management Board, here's how popular, you're negotiating, right? You're either selling something or selling yourself. I'm taking that information and I'm putting it in front of the people that I do business with to establish, the mainstream nature of what we're doing and the reach of what we're doing. So it absolutely has value. I just wouldn't know how to put a valuation on it.
We're going to move on to your book in a second, but I have one final question to move off the subject. I listen to a lot of other people's podcasts, unfortunately, and there is there's a type of podcast out there, and they're all making the same kind of comments. When you bring in a Logan Paul or a Pat McAfee or whoever, there's always these comments saying, "Oh, they're getting paid X, Y, and Z," and you could have kept carrying Cross for this merch. You could have. How could they fire Keith Lee when he was earning like 1/10 of what they're paying this guy? This is always the comment. They fired a lot of people, and now they're using the money for these purposes, and it receives a lot of criticism. What would you say to these people where they're criticizing that WWE are investing their money here after releasing so many people?
What would I say?
Yeah.
Off. I knew it was coming. I expected to come. But is it more of, put asses in seats and those wrestlers would have stayed?
It's a business. Damn it. It's like you're wrestling. Oh, man, they spent all that money over here and they could have held on to that guy. Who cares? If that guy was making money, if it was a business, it is a business. And if that individual guy or gal was moving the needle, then guess what?
do you ever look at anybody that do you ever look at anybody in WWE? Have you seen anybody that has been released and you think, there might have been something there? Is there anybody that you've ever?
No, I don't watch
Bray
it close.
Wyatt. That's about it.
But here's the thing, guys. You don't know what was going on behind the scenes. None of us do, right? Unless you were there. It may not. Who knows why that decision was made? I've let go of people that everybody thought I let go of them for one reason or maybe another. And the real reason I let them go had nothing to do with that. And unless you have all of the information and the knowledge and or experience, look it up. You're ignorant. Google ignorant, and the definition is lack of information or experience. That's what ignorance, that's the definition of it. And when someone gets let go, you don't really know what led up to that. You can say, wow, it was budget cuts, but because guess what? That's a nice way when you work for somebody. If you get let go, and you get let go because of budget cuts, not because, what are they supposed to say? Guy or girl just didn't draw, wasn't worth it, didn't learn fast enough, has no charisma, couldn't cut a promo to save their life. Is that what you want them to say? Mm-hmm. Or do they evaluate talent and say, okay, we get to have so many people with this budget. Let's thin the herd and keep the people that we think have the most potential and let the rest go because we have to manage our budget. So those people, therefore, are let go for budget cuts. But the truth is they're let go for other reasons. You and I and the dirt sheet universe and the people that write that crap have no idea what was really going on behind the scenes.